Recently, I got 2 new posters and I needed to take down everything I had on my walls. Most of it I wasn't very happy with or accidentally tore. So I binned those and set up the 2 new posters I had gotten. In my own personal and correct opinion, I think these look very nice on my walls. But the only 2 things I could save were a simplified Fnaf film poster I made for graphics communications, and a paper pal which has been adjusted with rubbers so it can actually hang about loosely. So I needed to redecorate. The brilliant idea I had was to do free paintings of medias I enjoy. The first one being Fnaf, cause, well, the second one being Poppy, as Chapter 5 came out not even a month ago by the time this was written, and Dandy's World, as the Easter update has returned, which is actually pretty fun. And so, with that bit of information, we can begin painting. The first thing I wanted to do for this was just to generally have an idea as to what I'm gonna do. Where I'm gonna do something similar to FNAF 6 with the Follow Me minigame. Yeah. But then I've just began painting it. But sorry, I'm doing this like unscripted, so that's why I sound like an absolute moron. Anyways, yeah, I've just generally just blocking out the colors of the actual, like, more brighter colors, and then beginning to actually do some lighting now. Ooh. But yeah, this is generally based on the FNAF 6 Free Maze minigame, where in the end, William Afton says, "Follow me," to Susie. But yeah, generally right now I'm just doing some shading, but I know it looks ugly, just trust the process, okay? Please just trust the process. Okay, now I'm doing the background. That's a pretty good start. Where I was thinking about doing the Follow Me letters as something outside of the actual background, but what I did was just wait for the background to finish and use some paint pens to actually paint those in. Yeah, but now I'm just working on the bow tie, really, where it looks pretty black in the actual final thing, but I was intending to make it more purple. But yeah, that's pretty much about it. I'm just fixing the jaw some, but that's pretty much it for the most of this, so please enjoy. And here is the painting. What do you think? Personally, I actually really like this, because it's a good it's a good contrast between a light color and a dark color. Has reversal text with the Follow Me. The only thing I don't like about it is that the jaw looks like Withered Freddy's, and the signature's like really big, which I might actually just like remove the signature. But yeah, that's about it. The next one we have is Dandy's World, so hope you enjoy. For this one, what I decided to do was just to generally sketch Dandy first, and also, yes, I did tear out part of the paper. Anyways, but after that I decided to sketch out the twisted manes, which would be in the background, along with the color, with Dandy in front of it. So, yeah, right now I just start using the greens for his actual, like, main body. But then I go on the red for the eyes and the petals, where I just do orange, yellow, more green, blue, and eventually purple, whenever I get purple. And after this, I moved to the background first using a new crimson paint I just got just for this video. Where after I work on a gray floor, which transcends to black, and then I use a paint pen where I just mainly sketch out what the twisted manes should actually look like. Where, yeah, I really don't know what to say with this. Yeah, but eventually I also did some outlining for Dandy. But yeah, that's literally about it. Enjoy. And here it is. What do you think? Personally, I think it's actually pretty nice. It's got a nice contrast with the blacks and the reds. Dandy's a wonderful contrast with everything. But I think the only critiques I have are the Dandy's eyes, where I made the outlines far too thick. But with that, let's move on to Poppy. Now, for what I did the Poppy playtime paintings, I just began sketching out my rough idea, where there's a toy from each chapter and Project Playtime, with Huggy, Mommy, Boxy, Catnap, Doughy, and the prototype. But after, I decided to do the background first, so it wouldn't interrupt any of the actual designs. But here I just generally began to sketch the new designs and did the furless version, and did white for an actual base on where the toy should be. With Huggy, it can represent the lack of fur. And where I'm just painting the bow tie now and doing a rough idea for the mouth. Where I soon eventually do the teeth, the whites in his eyes, and redo the lips in paint pen. Now for Boxy, what I decided, I did something similar, where I just generally did a rough basis on the furry parts without any fur, really. Where I focused on the mouth and readjusted some of the fur in here. But eventually I go on working on the box and the actual springs more, where the springs I did with paint pen, as is the easiest way, and eventually I'd work on the crank right now. Where I'm just generally refining stuff I've missed, really. Oh yeah, and the claws. I also did the claws in paint pens. Oh, I did those in a paint. Oh, I generally didn't realize that. Oh well. Yeah, but for the blacks, I generally just did paint for those, as it's just the quickest way I could do it. But yeah, it's literally about it. I think I'm just readjusting Huggy's outline here, and now I begin working on Mommy Longlegs, where I just did the basic pinks to so I don't bleed into the red, and just generally made a rough estimation on what it should look like, where I just left it to dry, and I'm just reworking on some of the lighting and what parts actually look like, where the hotter pink doesn't get any sort of actual white behind it. However, now I just work on the blue, which I think is very nice, and now we work on the Catnap, where I just generally did the whites first for how the hand should look, and how the main body should look as well. Where I'm just working on both of these. Yeah, the footage corrupted here because I didn't have enough storage, so Catnap's pretty much mostly done. And now for Doughy, what I did is I did something really similar with everyone else, except where instead I actually did yellow, orange, red, and then the light blue of his body. And then actually just generally shaded him. But yeah, that is literally about it. So enjoy. And here it is! What do you think? Personally, I think this is wonderful, as Huggy, Doughy, are wonderful contrasts. Mommy Longlegs and Boxy Boo go really well together. Catnap's a really good way to connect both of these groups of colors. Yeah, it's just really nice in my own personal opinion. Yeah, it's basically about it. So, folks, if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any video critiques or suggestions, then you can go into my Discord server where you can interact with me, the community, and post art where I can actually see. And if I get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of April, I will actually begin streaming, as long as people watch the streams. And with that, sayonara, suckers.